How to fix skinny fat in 3 simple steps. Being overweight or obese is one thing, and you can focus on one thing and lose all of your fat to reveal your physique. Being skinny fat can be worse because not only do you need to get rid of the fat, but you need to focus on building muscle at the same time, which just makes it so much harder. I'm going to show you 3 easy steps and quick to solve the skinny fat dilemma, but first we need to understand what it is in the first place. The truth is, the term skinny fat isn't medical, it's subjective. It typically describes someone who has little muscle tissue, a high their normal body fat percentage, yet a normal weight or BMI. Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Diamonds and I'm the founder of SculptByScience.com, and I've coached multiple clients struggling with the skinny fat dilemma and successfully guided them through their body recomposition journey. Here's my client Tahin. When he started with me, he had that skinny fat look, the classic look with the tie around the waist with very little muscle tissue. After working together for 4 months, we got him from looking like this to this. Tahin is one of the few people I've worked with and helped to go from skinny fat to fit. This is the area I'm just too familiar with. Watch the video to the very end and I'll show you the easy and quick 3 steps that you can go through to reach that lean and muscular look. But before we dive in, there's so much noise online. You've probably watched a few videos that just haven't answered your questions, or you're just even more confused after watching other videos. It's difficult for people to find the right information. To support me, this YouTube channel, and for the algorithm, gently tap the like button, and if you're new, subscribe. Let's kick it off. So what does skinny fat look like? Being skinny fat is primarily about your body composition. Their weight might be in check and they might even look lean, but the ratio of muscle tissue to fat isn't ideal. A lot of the times, the person that has skinny arms and chest with little muscle tissue and tends to carry most of their weight around their midsection and often is weak is considered skinny fat. If you've been struggling with skinny fat issues and you're unsure whether you should bulk or cut first, then you're in the right place. I'll walk you through a step-by-step guide to achieve the desired body composition. But first, with every problem we mention, addressing the root of a problem often reveals much of its solution. What could cause skinny fat? While genetics and hormonal imbalances could be one of the causes, here we'll focus on lifestyle-related causes. One is the wrong diet, and that being a severe caloric restriction. By this, we mean cutting too many calories too quickly. It might seem like a quick way to lose weight for many, but trust me, it always backfires. Let me explain with an example. When someone has maintenance calories of roughly 2,500 and starts eating 1,500 calories to lose weight fast, their body starts to break down both muscle tissue and fat for fuel. Over time, while they may lose number on the scale, their body fat percentage might stay the same or even increase, leading to the skinny fat problem and that appearance and a slower metabolism because they've also lost muscle mass. These types of diets also have a caloric deficit that's greater than 25% of your maintenance calories, which is not recommended. With that being said, if you're a busy professional, you spend all your time taking care of your team at work and your family, and you need someone to help take care of you and your physique and your overall well-being, I build out entire systems so that they can finally see success once and for all, to be able to see your six-pack, get your energy back, to feel confident in your clothing. And if that's you and you want to be at peak performance, you're a busy professional, you're an entrepreneur, you're a doctor, you're an engineer, you're someone who's leading in your industry, I highly recommend you fill out the application in the description down below, and I'll be able to get in touch with you and see if we can come up with a plan to get you to better health. Number 2, too much cardio and no resistance training. Spending hours on the treadmill 5 to 6 times a week thinking this is the answer. This is a common mistake. While cardio is excellent for cardiovascular health and burning fat, so many people overdo it when they try to follow this eat less and move more mindset. In the end, they end up doing long hours of cardio without incorporating strength training and proper protein intake. And this will lead to losing both fat and muscle at the same time, and you'll end up with the skinny fat look with a slower metabolism. The third thing is having a low protein diet. Protein is the building block for muscles. Without any adequate protein intake, your body struggles to repair and build or maintain muscle tissue. The recommended daily protein intake for someone who isn't doing any form of exercise is 0.36 grams per pound, meaning if someone is 180 pounds, they need to at least take 65 grams of protein per day. But this amount increases once you go on a diet or start doing cardio and resistance training, and we'll cover that later in the video. Number 4, Diets high in refined carbs and sugars. Consuming refined carbs and sugars like sweets and pastries can lead to rapid spikes in your blood sugar. Frequent insulin spike will lead to storing any glucose that is surplus to your needs to be shunted into your fat cells instead. While many factors determine where fat is stored, high sugar diets are often associated with increased belly fat storage. So the bottom line is, it's a common misconception that small or thin bodies are an indicator of good health. However, those with a higher body fat percentage and lower muscle mass, even if they have a normal body mass index, may be at risk of developing chronic diseases. So where do we start? Well, with skinny fat, we're essentially dealing with two core issues. First is low muscle mass and the second is excessive body fat. Which should you fix first entirely depends on your personal goals and what you're most concerned about. I'll mention 3 different methods and tell you which one I usually use with my clients. So number one is a lean bulk. This means going into a slight caloric surplus to gain muscle tissue and to keep fat gain at a minimal, and then going into a cutting phase to lose the excess fat and then reveal the gains afterwards. With this method, you will gain both muscle and some fat, and it shows on the scale. You can follow this method when being skinny fat bothers you more than the belly fat. Number 2 is the cut. This primarily focuses on reducing body fat first while trying to maintain or even slightly build muscle, and then doing a lean bulk afterwards. This is suited for those who want to see a more defined physique in the shortest time possible. With this method, the weight goes down on the scale. And then number 3 is body recomposition. This strategy is a balanced approach where the aim is to simultaneously build muscle and shed body fat with following a slight caloric deficit. Your weight could alternate throughout the weeks. This method might take longer compared to the other 2 methods, but results in a way have a balanced physique. Out of these 3 options, I normally recommend doing a lean bulk or body recomposition depending on the body fat percentage of the person. We'll talk about which one to choose in step number 2. Here is how I go about when I have a client who's skinny fat. And step number 1 is resistance training. When someone is skinny fat, it's likely that they've never lifted weight, or have lost muscle mass trying to lose weight, or have been inconsistent with their lifting. That means they're at a prime advantage to gain muscle tissue fast. We all know diet is the most important thing when it comes to changing how you look, but when it comes to being skinny fat, resistance training is the primary step for 2 reasons. Number 1, the low muscle mass and tone are why they look skinny fat in the first place. So resistance training helps with enhanced muscle tone and volume that will make your arms, your chest look fuller and appear fuller and give you a more sculpted physique, which can redefine you and pushing you away from that skinny fat look. Resistance training is the best way to work on both of these issues that skinny fat people have. Research clearly shows that following a good workout routine is enough to cause simultaneous fat loss and muscle growth in men with poor body compositions, especially when it's combined with adequate protein intake. So the key step is to start a structured lifting program and train progressively and consistently, lifting a minimum of 3 to 4 sessions per week, which is usually what I recommend for beginners. Aim to complete 10 to 20 sets for each muscle group weekly. Current studies suggest that beginners can benefit from the lower end of this range, and this is the ideal volume for promoting muscle growth. Incorporating a mix of compound and isolation exercises in your routine, but to get the best results, I recommend prioritizing heavy compound weightlifting into your routine. Your main objective should be to master and strengthen the foundational exercises such as the squat, the deadlift, the bench press, and the shoulder press. Perform 6 to 15 repetitions per set. Even though the muscle development is possible with both fewer and more reps, the middle range seems to be the sweet spot for a majority of the lifters. It is very important to implement progressive overload. This is the foundational principle in strength training, where you gradually increase the stress on your muscle tissue to continuously promote muscle growth. This could simply include gradually increasing the weight over time, or increasing the sets or reps to consistently challenge the muscle beyond the current capacity. So with resistance training, I normally recommend also doing 8 to 10,000 daily steps per day, preferably walking or a very light jog. A lot of my clients are in meetings all day over Zoom, and just 1 hour of being in a Zoom meeting, they can get 6,000 steps. Let me know in the comments down below. What cardio are you doing? How many steps are you getting? And I will tell you if you should do more steps. I'll tell you what cardio protocol you should follow. So Comment down below, hey Dr. Mike, this is the cardio routine I'm doing, how many steps you're getting, or if you're doing just treadmill work, let me know and I'll tell you if you're doing enough. Let me know what your weight is, your age, your height. Give me all the information possible and I'll help you the best way I can. And let's move over into step number 2, caloric management. So here, we need to decide whether you need to go on a slight surplus or a slight deficit. The basics are, if you're in a caloric surplus, it's easier to gain muscle and strength compared to maintenance and being in a deficit. And if you're in a caloric deficit, you'll lose fat, but it's harder to gain muscle, but it's possible. So first, calculate your maintenance calories, which is the number of calories your body needs to stay at your current weight. Then, choosing between the two depends on the person's body fat percentage. If a man is roughly at 15% or above, or a woman at 25% or above, we want to do body recomposition. I normally start them with a slight deficit, like a 10% caloric deficit. This way, they'll be able to lose fat and gain muscle at the same time, especially since they're normally beginners. It's quite possible to achieve both at the same time. If a man is below 15% or a woman is below 25%, we want to do a lean bulk. I normally start them with a slight lean bulk phase, like a 10% caloric surplus. This way, they'll be able to gain muscle tissue and build structure while gaining a small amount of fat at the same time. So how long should these phases last? One is largely individual and it depends on the look that you're opting for. If you're starting with a slight deficit at a higher body fat percentage, this phase should last until you reach your desired level of leanness, which might take anywhere from 12 to 24 weeks for most people. And then decide if you want to start eating at maintenance or to follow a lean bulk for more muscle mass and size. For those in the beginning with a leaner physique, a muscle building phase might last between 24 to 48 weeks. However, consistently monitoring every 4 to 6 weeks is crucial. If you notice excessive fat gain, it might be worth reducing the surplus slightly or shifting to the maintenance phase before continuing. And then when you reach your desired size, you can go on a slight deficit to reveal the gains. Consider a man at 155 pounds, he's age 30, with a body fat percentage of let's say 17%. Most of the body fat is around his belly, so in this case, I would recommend body recomposition. His maintenance calories is around 2,200, so we can create a slight deficit of 10%, which will be around 2,000 calories. This will take us to step number 3, the macros. This is the step most people get wrong. The most important part of the diet is to eat enough protein to boost muscle growth, because when someone starts resistance training, their daily protein requirements increases in order to support the new muscle tissue development. I recommend a protein intake of 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight if you're weightlifting. I normally stick to this higher end, especially in a caloric deficit. In a study with young men on a reduced caloric diet, that consuming protein at roughly 2.4 grams per kg combined with resistance training saw better results in muscle gain and fat loss compared to those who were doing lower protein intake of roughly 1.2 grams per kilogram daily. Both groups improved in exercise performance, but the protein-rich diet effectively promoted muscle gain and fat reduction during caloric restriction with intense exercise. So for our previous example, a man who's 155 pounds needs to have 155 grams of protein per day, and this will be their daily macros, for example, which is 155 grams of protein per day, which is equal to 620 calories. I recommend 20% of your calories coming from fat when you're trying to lose fat. So that is 400 calories that will come from fat. The rest can come from your carbs, and the rest of your calories that are left over is 980 calories. So here is the summary of the 3 main steps to achieve your physique. Emphasize resistance training to build muscle mass. Adjust your caloric intake based on your body fat percentage for effective fat loss and muscle gain. And then ensure a high protein diet to support muscle growth during your workouts. And trust me, with these 3 targeted approaches, you'll have the power to redefine your physique. Every rep, every meal choice, and every ounce of dedication moves you closer to breaking free from that skinny fat look. Embrace the journey, stay consistent, and watch yourself transform. The one thing I don't see people do is taking enough time to finally be able to change their composition. Invest in yourself, and that is what all of my clients do. That is probably the hardest decision that they need to make when they work with me, is saying, you know what, I am going to invest in myself because I'm going to be a different version for the rest of my life after this. And if you're skinny fat, or you have a lot of body fat to lose, or you want to build muscle, I am able to help you at Sculpt by Science. If you want to find out more about what we do, you can visit sculptbyscience.com, or if you want to book directly and speak to me, you can go into the description of the video, fill out the application, and we'll jump on a call. If you did enjoy the video, hit it with a gentle thumbs up. If you are new, subscribe. And if you have any questions, let me know where you are in terms of calories, what your cardio setup looks like. I am in the comment section down below. This is the perfect place to be able to just see what Dr. Mike recommends, but I'll leave the video here.